Warning, this podcast has stories of real-life events and true crime that happens every day. These stories may contain adult language and graphic or disturbing details not suitable for everyone. Listener discretion is advised.
132 inverse, I've got him at gunpoint. Check the left over, we're going to full evacuation at this time. They're pulling them out.
10-1-1, advise ready for camp.
Gun!
Welcome to another episode of War Stories. I'm Chuck.
And I'm Matthew.
Hey, man. And this is a new voice.
Right?
Out of the norm for a little bit. How you doing, man?
I'm doing good. Just, living life out here in beautiful North Carolina.
Yeah, well, I mean, this is going to, you might actually be out of there by the time this releases. So this will probably release.
Yeah.
3 weeks?
Three, four. I might still be here. I'll be here till middle of December. So.
And what are you working on out there?
I am working on a production for a very, very popular YouTuber. Probably the most popular YouTuber that you've ever heard of. And I signed a whole bunch of NDAs. So I'm not going to say anything about who this very, very popular YouTuber who lives in North Carolina is.
Does he really live in North Carolina?
Well, he's from here. He's from the town that I'm in.
Is he really?
He's a hometown hero. Yeah. Actually, when I went and got a 30-day gym pass at the local gym here. So I can at least stay active while I'm out here. And the manager's kid grew up with and played baseball with Jimmy. Oops, said his name.
Oh, dude, I don't think anyone knows his name other than what he goes by on YouTube and on Instagram and all the social media stuff. And for those of you who don't know who that is, you're going to continue to guess because if Matt doesn't want to release his name, and the name's not getting released.
I mean, I can't say. I can probably say who I'm working for. I just can't say what it is, what the premise of the video that he's shooting. But it's
right.
And I was, honestly, I didn't even know who this cat was until about a year ago, maybe, because I don't watch YouTube. It's I'm out of his demographic. But
yeah, man. I mean, you're what, almost 50 now?
I'll be 50 on Sunday, man, on the 9th.
Well, congratulations. Happy 50th birthday.
Yeah, thanks.
You don't look it.
Well, I sure as shit don't act it.
Definitely not. It is. You are an old man in a young soul's body.
Yes, it's a dangerous combination.
So a bunch of stuff that you have has been redacted, and we have a guest today. A lot of his stuff that he has put into a book has been redacted, and I'm going to welcome Matthew. Matthew, how are you?
I'm doing well, gentlemen. How are you?
Good.
So everyone, Matthew is an author. He has a book out called War Business: The Hired Guns of Helmand Province. He is a Marine Corps veteran, did 5 years in the United States Marine Corps in intelligence. And I will leave the rest up to you to introduce yourself because I don't want to mess any of it up. We've talked offline, and you have got some interesting shit.
Cool. So I joined in 2008, got out in 2013. And I joined right after high school, my senior year, and then got out in 2013, did back-to-back deployments to Helmand Province, Afghanistan. And by the time we got back from my second deployment, my unit already had orders to go to Yemen. So I said, I'm just going to go join the first Civ Div instead of Yemen. And then, got out. So I was an all-source intelligence specialist for the Marine Corps. And then just finished up my master's degree in Homeland Security. So,
wow, I saw that master's degree in Homeland Security. How the hell did you do that? Is that even offered in schools, or you have to go to a special school for that?
I did it through National University. They're very oriented towards the military, anyways. But yeah, it's a selective. Select schools have it. I mean, if I got in, they're not that select, but very few schools have it.
I mean, you're pretty smart. You already corrected my spelling very fast.
Yeah.
And that's out of character for a Marine. You're the smart one.
Yeah, well, I mean, I've had those words that I had to correct. I've had those ingrained into my brain for years working on this project, working on the book. Started in 2022 and just released last month. So it's a lot of work.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So you went in 2008, right out of high school, and I went into the Navy right out of high school, but that was in 1993. So worlds apart there. But what was the driving force? Why did you choose the Corps? Like, why did you get into what you got into as far as an MOS in the Corps, and what was the driving force to go to begin with?
Yeah. So to start was my older brother he was in Air Force boot camp when 9/11 happened. And then he's still in. So he's been in for 24, 25 years. So in the time that from 2001 to like 06, 07, he had deployed 3 or 4 times. So it was in the back of my head that I'm going to join. My grandfather was in World War II in Korea and all that good stuff. And an uncle in Vietnam, and then my older brother. And then the real answer is in high school, senior year, didn't get some homework done. I could skip first and second and third period if I went and took the ASVAB. So I did that. So I went and took the ASVAB to give myself a couple extra days of homework time. Anyways, in there, and there's a bunch of recruiters in the cafeteria, but there was one man wearing Marine Corps dress blues. I don't know who else was there, what else they were wearing, but there was one guy in dress blues. So I ended up hounding him down. He didn't even call me. I called him, said, I want a pair of those. So I joined a few months later.
Nice.
As far as intelligence goes, I didn't even get to pick that. So I had to get a few waivers to get in the Marine Corps. Like for my heart, I had some heart issues that I did not know I had, so they weren't that big of a deal. But I needed a waiver, and by the time the waiver was done and whatnot, in order for me to continue to go on the buddy package with my buddy, I had to do intelligence, and I was promised I was going to be James Bond by the time I was done with intelligence school. So,
dude, they didn't give you a choice on your MOS because they're like, holy shit, he fucking aced it. We're gonna tell him nope, he's going in this. He's too smart to be doing anything else. He's too smart to be bean counting or fucking some hired gun. He's gonna be the smart cookies over here and intelligence and do the secret squirrel shit. Like Gareth, dude.
I don't know. I mean, cool, maybe, but probably not. All the cool stuff that I did, I really feel like I lucked into while I was in, as far as intelligence, cool stuff. So I think it was just providence for me.
Wow. Yeah, that's wild. I mean, listen, my ASVAB was like low as shit. Okay. And I took it 3 times. And the second time I took it, it was high as fuck. And I was, for me, not for anyone else, but for me, it was high. I think I did pretty good. I was like, oh, wow. Surprised myself. Come to find out, there's a time limit that you have to wait from one attempt to the other attempt. So it didn't count.
Oh, so you had to go do it again.
So I did it again.
So what was the third time? Was third time?
It was higher, but it didn't matter. And I was trying to go into the Navy. I was trying to do Navy SEAL or Navy Swift, be on a Swift boat crew. Want to do all that crazy shit, and then realized that they wouldn't use that ASVAB score, so I couldn't get into the unit. So they're like, you can do the shore patrol stuff, and then maybe get into the stuff later. I was like, no, I don't want to do that, and then ended up finding my way into the Marine Corps. Because they said you could do tanks, and I was like, oh yeah, that's cool.
Tanks are cool.
Tanks are cool. Yeah. Tanks are cool. And they're like, have you ever seen one float on water? And I was like, no, what's that? And they're like, yeah, you could be a part of this really cool unit that has a tank that floats on water. And I was like, cool. Yeah, it's not at all what it was. It's a fucking death trap. Amtraks, dude. Amphibious assault vehicles are horrible. Great.
I spent a total of maybe 20 hours in a track, and
you actually been in one?
Yeah, never enjoyed any of it. It was cool for about 30 minutes, and then the rest of it was like, oh god, my vertebrae hurt. This is uncomfortable. It's hot.
You just were doing like some ship to shore stuff, or just riding
No.
around in a field op, or what?
Yep, just Mojave Viper, EMB.
Oh shit. Oh, I wonder if I was one of your guys, because we were around the same time. I was 07 to 11, and I did about 6 months stint in 29 Palms at CAX, specifically doing workups for ourselves, as well as workups for we had a infantry unit that we were working up to go over to either Iraq or Afghanistan at that time. I don't remember which one it was, but we were out there forever and doing a lot of like the mock simulations. And yeah, that field op that you were probably on, doing all that live fire stuff, that's a bumpy motherfucking ride, dude. That shit hurts.
Yeah, it was definitely bumpy, that's for sure. I mean, especially for an intel guy. I mean, I was just rolling around. I was attached to a squad, so
Yeah.
I'm just along for the ride, especially in the tracks, just doing nothing. Then we'll stop and get out. Someone shoots a small or something, get back in, and just hopefully, jerry cans are filled with water, not JP8.
Yeah. That should it's not good for you. It's definitely bad for your skin and bad for your mouth.
It happened to when I was a boot. It had happened to my sergeant. They had hit the jerry can in his track was full of JP8.
Ugh.
But he's still alive. I mean, he's got 3 legs now, but he's still alive.
Right. Man, I was in Lejeune, and I swear one day I'm gonna wake up with fucking cancer, because not only is the water shitty, but I cannot tell you how many POLs I've had poured onto me, drenched into me. Fucking my body has absorbed probably a fucking full gallon of hydraulic fluid, because I stepped in a fucking
Give
bucket.
it time. It shows up. I'm currently in a large class action lawsuit against 3M because they're the manufacturers of that AFFF, which in the 90s, they said, oh, it's safe, it's safe, it's safe. So you tell a bunch of 19-year-old kids that this firefighting foam is safe. What are we going to do? We're having bubble parties. Oh, yeah. And then I see a commercial about, were you exposed to this? Did you have kidney cancer? I'm like, yes, and yes. Oh my goodness. So, yeah.
You guys are fucking having foam parties with the freaking the foam to put out fires.
Well, not on purpose. There was a boot in the hangar bay on the ship, and he saw what he perceived to be smoke. So he hit the oh shit button and kicked off that whole section of AFFF.
We just had
So
Helman.
No, this was what, 94? 90, I was on that ship 95? 95 I was on that ship. That happened. Yeah.
I only spent, I think, a month on ship.
Yeah. Well,
or maybe it was a week. It felt like a month.
So,
I don't know.
We had to go in there and clean it up. And the stuff with that AFFF, you keep the more you keep adding water to it, you think it's gone, and you add a little bit of water on the deck, and it just puffs right back. It's ridiculous. So yeah, we're playing in it. We're all playing in it. We all got cancer.
Damn.
I get the emails all the time about the bird pits. Like, hey, get on the registry. Like once a month, they reminded me of my impending doom at some point. Like, oh, okay, so ass cancer is coming down the pipe sometime.
Yeah.
Just do yourself a favor. Really look into the person that you, or the law firm that you use, because I did the whole deal with the
earplugs. Yeah.
And the earplug thing, it came in, and honestly, they took 60% of everything. And I was like, that's bullshit. And I had hearing loss and stuff like that from shooting, the up guns and big weapons and stuff.
Yeah.
And, but I didn't, after I signed the fucking paperwork, that's when I found out they were taking a bigger cut than what they should have been taking. And
well, I'm old now, so I read everything. Like, I'm the asshole in the store that's like reading all the terms and conditions before I initial it. So it was 20%. So they can have, I figured 20, that's cool. You're doing all the work.
Wow. 20%. That's not bad. So I guess that's what you got to look forward to, man. I mean,
sweet.
So yeah, right. You guys are both Matt. So this is going to be awkward for me sometimes when I'm like, hey, Matt, and you like both answer. So, so you were in intelligence, you got into intelligence, what was that like? After you got through Mojave Viper, you did your pre-deployment, then you get pumped out overseas. Can you talk a little bit about that and, kind of how that correlates into your book? We still want people to go out there and get your book, and we're going to pimp that out in a minute, but we really want to hear some of those awesome freaking stories, man.
For
I know
sure.
we were talking earlier, and dude, that's some crazy
So
shit you dealt with.
my 2 deployments couldn't be different from each other. So my first deployment both were to Helmand Province, but 2 different areas. So the first deployment, it was a year long, 361 days. Second deployment was like 7 months. First deployment, that's where all that James Bond stuff that the recruiter said I was going to do, it actually came to fruition, but it was completely unconventional. So Helmand Province exported at the time 90 to 95% of the world's heroin supply. All came from the poppy in Helmand Province. So that funded, the Taliban and other terror networks outside of Afghanistan as well. But anyway, so poppy was a really big issue, and just for whatever reason, I don't really know, but the commanding officer, a colonel, decided that he wanted to set up an interdiction force to just take the poppy. So it was hid on a legal perspective. A farmer could have a field of poppy and he's fine. But as soon as they start scoring the bulb to let the sap seep out, and that's what creates the opium, that's where you have the issues. So we were taking the poppy that had already been, taking the heroin that had already been scored and processed and packaged and ready to ship out. So in the intel world and grunt world, there's always the adage or the argument, does intel drive operations or does operations drive intelligence? So this was the interdictions were 100% an intelligence operation. So we would look for vehicles moving in the open desert, middle of nowhere, at a high rate of speed. Can't get into how we'd identify those, but we no longer had a battle space. So if there was a vehicle hauling balls in Helmand Province, we got in a pair of 53s, took some Cobras out there, and just started hitting these vehicles. The other part of the operation was myself and one other intel guy. We were installing tracking devices in the cars. So what we were looking for, we would land, find some vehicles, find some targets, and we were looking for sat phones. So at the time, a sat phone, I don't even know how much a sat phone cost, but the monthly plan on that was like $600 US. So if you had a sat phone out there, you're a big wig. So if drugs were not present, but a sat phone was, somebody would talk to the guy, and then we would put a tracking device in the vehicle and then send it out on its merry way. I carried a sock full of, so there's moon dust all over Afghanistan, just dust everywhere. I would carry a tube sock, a boot sock, just full of moon dust. And, we'd get done putting the device in and just start, tapping around, shaking this sock around, just taking away fingerprints and smears and all that. And send the guy out on his merry way. So we did a little over 400 of these raids on vehicles, buildings. So it just, as time went on, we would start identifying where they were going, what compounds they were bedding down. So the operation got bigger and bigger just as that time went on. We started getting pretty creative. I mean, I was 20 years old at the time, and just because of the nature of intelligence and the equipment we were using, I was just, it was the Wild West, and they put a 20-year-old in charge of this program. So we were, I'd gotten creative.
Pretty badass, man.
I wouldn't let myself as a 35-year-old now be in charge of that, but they let me at 20 do it. So we got some permission, got creative. So we ended up making a fake SAPI plate, so one of the bulletproof plates, and got some. I took all the styrofoam or that dense foam out of the Pelican cases and cut it open, and we put a tracking device inside that, sealed it up, went to get some cast wrapping and everything like that, wrapped it up, sanded it down, painted it, made it look like a SAPI plate, then staged a gunfight and made it look like a Marine got shot or wounded, and left the guy's gear on the ground, left, the wounded Marine's gear on the ground with some goat blood on there. And then, we left, dust off came, picked up the guy. We all left, and a few days later found out, someone found it, and they may or may not have been telling somebody very important that there's a battlefield prize that, they want to give as tribute, and ended up being a very successful operation. So that was pretty cool with that tracking device. And then we also had, guys trying to infiltrate the base. So I was on Camp Dwyer at the time. There's probably 300 Marines, 300 personnel on there. Someone tried bringing some IED components on the base. So, we rigged, he was one of the water carriers. So, when you're deployed, there's no potable water. So they're bringing in bottles of water. So he was one of the contractors. He had a false bottom in his trailer. Marines found some ID making components in there. So we ended up hooking his vehicle up and letting him go, not detaining or anything like that. And it was just a really cool program, very unique. And when my unit left, it kind of just stopped. They stopped doing that.
Really?
Part of it was just a dude with a fake name came out and trained myself and the other guy for about 5 days, and we never saw him again. And we were just
sounds kind of spooky.
Yeah, I was gonna say a little spooky.
I know what world he came from, so it was just pretty cool to be around that.
Right.
Yeah.
And again, just being 20 years old, and like, you've got two first names. Both of your names are first names, and they're both the most common Anglo names ever. So that's not your real name, but
yeah, my name's John Smith.
So he showed us what to do with these devices and some of the gear, the microphones, recording devices, audio recording devices, and let us have at it. So we had about $4 million worth of this gear to play with.
Wow. That's so interesting, because it's such a stark contrast to like modern like movies like Hollywood, like that, like you referenced James Bond, and we all who, if you're not in the know, then you don't know, right? So
right.
You see these movies with these spies and stuff, and it's like, oh, that'd be really cool, all this cloak and dagger stuff, and then when it comes down to it, it's really a government spook popping over to the sandbox for a week to give a crash course to conventional warfare operators to then go carry out that. So it's pretty interesting. I don't know if everybody knows that, but it's like, that's, we're so groomed in these movies and the pop culture to see like the James Bond type going over there and doing that.
Oh, and he wasn't a Pierce Brosnan or Daniel Craig. Like, this guy looked like he lived off Marlboro Reds and Rippets. Like,
yeah,
he looked like he lived a hard life. But yeah, just not what
he
I
was. And he was probably 26. No.
Right.
No
He sounds
kidding.
like most of my gunnies and staff sergeants when I got in.
Yeah.
Like, just fucking rough around the edges, and you're like, dude, you're not that old. Like,
Yeah.
thinking back to it now, you're like, oh fuck. We had some fucking rough dudes who were they went through the shit in the invasion in Iraq, and they're the ones who are running all of us and training all us up. And those dudes were fucking, they're different. They were awesome. But that's really cool. So you got trained by probably some CIA dude. Got to run up all this stuff. You're young and you're playing with all these toys. Did you ever feel like at any point, and I think we touched on this before when we were talking about all this stuff behind the scenes, but did you ever feel like this was like a tryout where they're like, hey, let's just see how they do. Maybe we'll keep our eye on these people down the road and see what they do with this equipment and money and all this stuff. Did you ever think that it might have been a tryout for, maybe doing some of that spooky stuff yourself and becoming an operator over there down the road?
Yeah, I did have some speculation with that. So one, I've met Oliver North twice, one of which was a few months later in Afghanistan. The second was, I don't know, a year after I got out of the Marine Corps, met him again. So if it was a tryout, I'm pretty sure I failed. But I'm interested in that world and intelligence and how do they recruit and things like that. And seldomly is it some guy applied on the internet. Usually, someone's developed and things like that. So if it was, I failed.
Hey, yeah. Side note. In the 90s, I did have a white button in red. It had the I and the heart, Ollie North. So it was around the time of the,
Contra
affairs. Yeah. So
yeah. And that is another piece. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh no, I was just gonna say Oliver North. He's the yep. Okay, so I just looked him up because I immediately went to, and you're like, oh, North. I heard the last name. I immediately thought of Peter North. If no one knows who that is, he's a big time porn star.
I was gonna say, who the fuck is Peter North? Jesus.
Are they cousins? What's going on? No.
I don't remember if he was a Marine as well, but anyways. So I looked him up. This dude's he's scary, but you never know that he is a scary motherfucker. Like,
yeah. So Ollie North was the fall guy for the Iran Contra scandal. So this is when they were, using drugs from Nicaragua and exporting these drugs to buy weapons to bring back for the. So it's going from Nicaragua to Iran and coming back. So that's another piece with the opium that we were getting. One of the guys that I had detained, I think this actually happened twice. These Afghans with the drugs that I detained spoke English. And first time it happened, just like, I don't know, threw me for a loop, scared me and my buddy. So we're trying to get some information from him. He's not giving his name. He's not speaking at all. And, my buddy's like, let's just shoot this motherfucker. And the guy speaks for the first time and says, hey, how's my English? The Afghan guy, alleged Afghan, says, hey, how's my English? And so the other Marine says, pretty good. Where did you pick that up? And he said, Florida. Like, oh, okay. And then a few months later, we bring somebody else back. He's just a full detainee, bring him back. And some dudes in suits come and they say, you never caught this guy. Delete any records, intel reports, anything about this guy. Never happened. So anyways, I had wondered if there was some sort of, nexus, something going on with the opium. At the time, had wondered, what exactly is happening to the hundreds of millions of dollars of opium that we're bringing back and handing off to a civilian, by the way. What's happening with it? So I had that speculation, and then as I've continued to follow the war, follow the opium from Afghanistan, the picture gets a little bit more clear. Still fuzzy, but some more answers.
Yeah, I mean, I don't trust the government. I know Matt doesn't trust the government.
Nope.
Tell us the truth. I mean, look at the pullout of Afghanistan. Dudes were getting shot, and you're handing out all these firsthand accounts of all these Marines that were there and other, military members that were there. They were actively in firefights while they were leaving, but they're like, hey, we're being shot at. They're like, you weren't being shot at. Hey, I got shot. You didn't get shot. Like, dumb motherfucker, I got shot.
Yeah. No. No Purple Heart for you.
Well, yeah, well, because if they would have been like, "Hey, we're in a firefight," where we wouldn't have been
Yeah,
able to pull out and leave. So it's like,
correct.
how much of this stuff is that's being consumed by the everyday public, and how much of it is complete bullshit lie. And then now you're having all these like podcasts that are popping up, and all these people are coming on and telling their side of the story. It's only a matter of time before we figure it out. I mean, the age of social
Yeah.
media, shit's gonna come out eventually. So I
So
mean, I don't go for it.
I was going to say, before we got too far away from it, we left off with speculation about the heroin.
Yeah.
What, Matthew? What's your, if as much as you can tell, what do you think? Because you said the picture was getting clearer, still fuzzy, but what is your hypothesis on where those drugs were going to and who they were going to?
So I will answer that away from any of the drugs that I ever touched, any of the opium that I had pulled off. But
Okay,
so as
Roger
far
that.
as the opium in Afghanistan, um, I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with the city, the district Marja. It was just a bloodbath in Helmand Province.
Mm-hmm.
This city was created by the CIA, USAID, in 50s, 60s, 70s, and it was developed to wholly grow. Just the way this infrastructure is, it's an agricultural thing. The only thing you can grow in Helmand Province is either pomegranates, cotton, or opium. So, um, Helmand Province, the opium isn't exactly organic. To Helmand Province. So it was brought in there. It was encouraged and whatnot. In fact, the Taliban actually part of uh, their rise to power in '01, well, in the late '90s, was to eradicate opium from Afghanistan. They didn't want it, anyways. So where I think the opium had gone and was to the rest of the terror networks in the Middle East. So there, specifically you have Yemen, Libya, Syria, all them, ISIS and whatnot. All of these, the amount of weapons they have, things like that. That sounds really speculative until you look at what was going on with Iran Contra and everything like that. We were absolutely selling drugs to procure weapons for
Right.
freedom fighters,
Hmm.
and then you just look at why are we in all of these endless wars, and war is a
Right.
business and whatnot. So I could go deeper into it, but I have a feeling that a lot of the opium coming out of Afghanistan was going to fund a lot of these other um, terror organizations. And part of my answer to that is some of the photos that I submitted for the book. They had to be redacted, and these were the photos of the package, the processed and packaged opium. So each dealer or whatever would put his stamp. They would put their
Right.
stamp. So those with the stamps had to be redacted. And then also, I'll just leave this vague. Just we were tracking where these vehicles were going,
Right.
and our tracking extended beyond the borders of Afghanistan. So
Oh,
Okay.
how far past those borders? You're like, I can see.
beyond the borders.
It's beyond check. We're
I love
lucky
that.
we got that much.
Yeah. So, what's your idea on what's your thought on the government lying to us, or I guess being in shady, doing shady shit? What's your take on all that? I mean, obviously there's something there, something fishy, something funny, and what's your take on all that?
They. So I'm trying to think. I'm pretty sure in Syria we were fighting alongside Al Qaeda. So the actively we have Afghanistan drawing down and Syria ramping up. So there's and I thought allegedly we went to invaded Afghanistan for harboring Al Qaeda and whatnot. Um, but 10 years later, 15 years later, we are fighting alongside Al Qaeda, and our special forces and people like that, were providing air support, JTAC type of stuff for these freedom fighters that we were once just shooting and killing in Iraq and Afghanistan, and now we're providing cover for them and things like that in Syria. So yeah, it is extremely dark where what the government has aided, abetted, supported and whatnot, and it's just especially dark with just the fact that they're lying, and we can't believe our lying eyes, and then they're just wasting, American lives, limbs, families. How many families got destroyed? Widows and kids without fathers or mothers, and it pisses me off quite a bit. In the last 2 chapters of my book, I use those 2 chapters to discuss what we're talking about right now. So the majority of the book talks about, the mission in Afghanistan. The last 2 are about all the lies that we were told and sold. And I think those last 2 are extremely important for people to read and to understand.
Wow. And did you get any pushback from, when you had to get the book cleared on those last 2 chapters?
No, my publisher told me, he asked if, I have a CCW, one of the guys in the publishing at the company, he was a Green Beret, way
Right.
back in the day. So he was like, hey man, you should probably be carrying everywhere you go. And I said, just out of curiosity, you think it's going to be some jihadis? And he said, no, I don't think you pissed them off. I said, all right.
Oh fuck.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
shit. Oh shit. That's some crazy. That's wild. That's wild.
I mean, I'm not that special, so I don't want to sound like, they got to silence me, whatever. But it's definitely a discussion that the powers.
Yeah, but I mean, to be real, if you were a bigger name, so to speak, writing this book, I'd be less worried about getting suicided versus, you saying, I'm not so special, I'm nobody. Cool, no one's gonna miss you, So it's like I'd be worried. Like to me, that's like oh shit, like
Yeah, man.
Yeah, so let's just not air this episode.
there we go. Yeah, redacted.
Redacted. We gotta
We'll
get
air it. It'll just be a tone through the whole thing with
Yeah.
like the color background, and it'll just say redacted.
That's funny.
The guy that did the audiobook that narrated it for me is Terry Schappert, and he was a Green Beret and whatnot, but he goes on Fox News quite a bit. And
I know Terry.
Okay, so I told
Yep.
Terry, I was like, hey, the last 2 chapters are a little bit spicy. I understand you have your hands in a lot of webs and whatnot. So if you don't want to read these last 2, I can read them. But he said, no, I mean, I say this a lot on Fox News anyways, and a lot of people don't want to hear it, but it is the truth. So
Right.
Yeah.
it's the truth.
Funny, Terry was on War Stories back in the day with Thomas and I, because we both know him. So that's kind of funny that you had him narrate that. And that was me. My question was, hey, is your book an audiobook? Because I'm a big audiobook guy, because I can listen to it while I'm jogging and working out and stuff,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I have like a whole crap ton of credits on Audible, just burning a hole in my pocket. So you're on my list.
Yeah.
But yeah, we had Terry, because he did a TV show with our one of our coworkers that was called Hollywood Weapons.
Mhm.
And so since we work with them, we were like, hey, come on and let's hear some stories, But anyway, sorry.
Yeah, he did a great job. I did not like how much my wife liked listening to him read the book, but he did a great job.
I get it, dude. I get it. That's hilarious. I mean, your book looks really, really awesome, and it's. We're gonna do this in a minute too, but it's available on Amazon. You can get it Kindle for $6.99, audiobook for 99 cents, and a hardcover for $30, $29.99. I think there's a deal going on right now too. So, I mean, it looks awesome. I can't wait to listen to it, because let's face it, I don't read that well. Okay.
Understood.
Just kidding. Unless it's written in crayon.
Yeah. So go on the publisher's website. It's cheaper there. We only have a few more hardcovers left, and then it'll be paperback, and then that'll be much cheaper. But I don't want to overlook my second deployment. So whenever you guys want to get
Let's go right into it.
Pop right into it, man.
Yeah, we're not even done yet. Let's go.
Yeah, cool. So the second deployment was extremely different. It wasn't, a helicopter assault force doing raids or anything like that. So it was with 1st Battalion, 1st Marines. So 1-1. I was just embedded into a line company. So at the beginning of Afghanistan, the Marine Corps started a new program called the Company Level Intelligence Cell. So they would take an intel Marine, an actually trained intel guy, put him in a company, and then from there, my role, so the intel guy, and in a clique, the intel guy would mentor a few Marines from each platoon or something like that. So they have a little bit more of an intelligence gathering capability, I guess. So anyway, so it was a new concept. Got to go with Bravo Company, 1st Battalion, 1st Marines. We went up to Kajaki. So we were in an EMV Mojave Viper. We're rolling around in the tracks, and we got told that our deployment was canceled. War's drawing down. You guys aren't going. So we're just, we're all pretty bummed. 1-1, 1st Battalion, 1st Marines didn't have the Afghan ribbon on our battle colors. So, we're all just bummed.
Was that around 2010?
12.
2011? Okay.
Well,
because they started pulling that bullshit in 2000, the end of 2010, and then in 2011, they were just like, hey, dude, they kept kinking shit left and right.
Yeah. So in 2010, so right before I got there on my first deployment, Obama had announced to the world, we are doing a troop surge, but we're going to start scaling down the war, withdrawing come 2012, which meant it made it extremely difficult to fight a counterinsurgency where you're trying to win the hearts and minds of the people. They know, hey, why are we going to help these Marines? Because in 2 years, they're going to be gone and we're going to get murdered at best if we help them. And they'll be gone in 2 years and the Taliban won't. Anyways, so 2011, 2012, stuff really starts winding down. Coincidentally, at the same time, that's when, Syria, Yemen, Libya, and all those wars start kicking off. But so we're in EMV, find out our deployment's canceled. We just continue EMV because the training package is already paid for. While we're there, right at the end, we find out that the unit ahead of us failed EMV. So we are now taking their slot. So we had about 96 hours from the time we ended EMV to the time we were getting on a plane to go. So that's like 4 days to do 6 months worth of drinking beer. And, most of us got it all done, mission accomplished.
Attaboy.
Got it done. But anyway,
the important things.
Yeah. So right before we left, so the morning of, one of the platoon sergeants goes AWOL, just too scared to go to Kajaki. So our 4th platoon, then their E6, their staff sergeant, just never showed up. And on top of that, because of the forced withdrawal, we couldn't deploy as like a full company. It had to be company minus, just couldn't take everybody. So I think we were like 150 Marines. So we left, 20-25% of the company at home, something like that. Anyway, so we take over a full battalion's battle space. So you have, what would have been 800 Marines. Now there's 150 dudes covering down on Kajaki. So Kajaki was just, it was a really strategic area for the Taliban. So, and us, but the Taliban, all of the water came from the Kajaki Dam. So every person that lived in Helmand Province lived below Kajaki. So the dam was a contentious spot. and I wasn't doing like the sexy stuff like installing tracking devices. There was some really cool stuff that I can't even hint at doing, but did some really interesting things there as well. But it was just, on the ground fighting with Marines. I think, we ended our deployment. We had 40 Marines, maybe 50 Marines out of 150 came home with Purple Hearts. It was
shit.
it was a kinetic time frame for us, at least, just with the withdrawal and whatnot. And this is where I was really, I don't know, sound like a big giant wiener, but just scorned. Saw the underpinnings of the war and was like, what the hell are we doing here? And another reason why I got out and didn't want to go to Yemen was what I saw in Kajaki. One example would be there's something about kids, bad things happening to kids that just makes, doesn't sit right. So kid had gotten in an accident. I think he fell off a motorcycle or something like that and busted his head open. So his brother brings him up to our combat outpost for help. And, his skull is cracked open in pieces. His brain's out. And our docs are stuffing this kid's brain, back in his skull. And we call, a medevac for this kid. Medevac dust off comes. They fly. They're over over the combat outpost. We've got Marines out there throwing out the IR strobes, like where to land, and then it just takes off and just comes back in on the radio. Hey, war resources and whatnot. We're not going to help this kid. So just let him die. So, our corpsmen are, they've got their hands full of this kid's blood and brains and whatnot. So they stapled this kid's head shut, and he's screaming like you can't even describe how somebody would, an 8 or 9-year-old would scream when their freaking brain is falling out of their head. So they staple his head shut, and then we tell the dad, our company commander authorizes like $1,000 Afghan dollars. So like, I don't know, $10, $10 US worth of gas, and say,
Right.
hey, just get your kid to a hospital. This is the best we can do. Here's some bandages and good luck. And the dad was like, I have other sons. It's all right. And, this one can die. It's not a big deal. I have other boys, whatever.
Oh my gosh.
So we were like, no, just, oh, and that was the other thing was I don't have a car. So we made whatever. We got him a car, sourced him a Hilux, gave him some gas money, and just sent him on his merry way. And then we all kind of took bets like, is he pocketing the money, or is he going to sell his kid for spare parts or whatnot? So I don't know, maybe a week later, Taliban fella, he's putting an IED in the ground, blows himself up. Long story short, dust off comes, medevac comes and takes this guy. So me and everybody else but me were like, why would we not help this kid if, we're trying to win hearts and minds? And me being the intel guy, I could have got so much information from, his family and villagers, and
especially if you help them.
Exactly. This could have been, I'm being selfish here. This could have been such an intelligence win,
Right.
If we would have helped this kid. Not to mention just helping this kid would have just been a good use of American tax dollars anyways. But anyway, so we don't help the kid, whatever, but we're, fly this guy that's putting an IED in the ground to, blow up Marines, blow us up. And so he goes to get world-class healthcare, and this kid does not.
Is that just because they wanted to pump him for info and keep him alive, pump for info?
No, I think it was because it was an active war. So it was as if we had hurt him. So what they were saying was, if we had caused this kid's pain, then yeah, we could justify using the resources. But the war is drawing down, so we're not. So that,
crazy.
That and some other, you guys can tell me, to stop or to whatnot.
No,
but so this kid, the Afghan kids, some of them are extremely I don't know, you could give them $10 and say, hey, go to Iran or go to Pakistan and bring me back some Mountain Dew, and they will do it. So they would be our gophers. Like they'd go get us creature comforts and sodas and whatnot. So, anyways, one of the kids that had been an unofficial source for me, he had told me where the Taliban had put a bomb in the ground, and bomb was recovered, IED was recovered, and a few days later, we found this kid chained. He had his wrist chained to one of his ankles, and then he was shackled to a wall, and they just sexually humiliated and tortured this kid. They're putting cigarette butts out on his back and whatnot. And I mean, I cut the chains off this kid, and I did bring a piece of that home. But he just for telling us where a bomb was, they did this to this kid. And so knowing then, like there's a real risk to the locals and especially the kids if we start asking them for info, but who else are we going to ask? Where's the Taliban? Where? Anyways, but I had made the decision that, Marines are more important, and, just had to continue asking locals and kids, especially, where are the bombs? Where are the Taliban? Where are they staging and whatnot? So I don't know. I guess it would be like moral injury on my part.
Sure.
It fucked me up for a while. Just what happened with the kids and what I don't know what I was willing to do, and knowing the secondary consequences of my actions, and I wasn't so sure that the wars out there were justifying that kind of stuff. Decisions. So
makes sense.
Part of why I got out.
Yeah. And
I mean,
sorry, just speaking on that last part with the kids, because as you were telling that, the thing that I was thinking was like, how horrible that a kid even knows that information, right?
Right.
To begin with, like, how horrible is it that a kid even knows, oh yeah, there's a bomb over there. Like, I can't fathom growing up in that world and in that culture. And it's just every time I hear stories from guys that were in the sandbox that have stories like that, I have a hard time wrapping my brain around that. Like, that's how people are living.
For sure. I mean, I'm worrying about my son being too cold in the duck blind, last
Right.
week, and then they live in extreme. Yeah, I understand what you're saying.
That's such a, man, that's rough.
Yeah. So I mean, just all the people in general too, because when a gun, something that you look for out there, with the pattern of life is, when the bazaar is busy, and then all of a sudden it's a ghost town, it's game on. That's time to whip it on. Yeah. So yeah, the people, kids especially, they all know.
Yeah, I mean, that's just, it's crazy. Yeah, I get what you're saying about that. That's a rough thing to grow up in, to live, and hearing that from other people that have gone through there and lived there, it makes it even hit closer to home. You're just like, whoa, that's wild. Like, you kids, it's just people. I feel like nowadays they're so sheltered and stuff like that, and you have all this crazy shit that's happening in the United States and other places, and yet you have third world countries like this where it's, when things go quiet, it's not a good thing, it's bad, and shit's about to go down. Or over here, people are screaming with purple fucking hair about all their issues and things like that, and they don't understand how good they have it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just, I don't know. It's crazy. Now you've dealt and seen a lot of stuff. What have you done that's gotten you through it to get to this point? Was it, part of it writing the book, being cathartic and getting a lot of that stuff out and putting it on paper and, kind of getting it out of you and putting it there? Or have there been things that you've done that have helped you that could possibly help other people that have maybe gone through the same stuff or are going through similar things?
Yeah. So, I went through, the VA system. So, got off active moved back to my hometown. So this is end of 2013. So I start going through the VA system and go through their regimen of, take this pill and that pill, and that's all horse shit. None of that works. It makes you worse. And if anyone ever asks, just stay away from that stuff. So that never helped, especially like actually taking the medication. I was, coaching soccer too. And I couldn't even, I'd write out a coaching plan and like, what are my drills are going to be and whatnot for the kids. And then I couldn't even look at the paper and say, okay, I'm going to have these cones in this shape, this many yards apart, and then translate that onto the field. Like my brain wouldn't even do that anymore. That stuff is just poison. So I pretty much just went dark and just harbored it all in there. And so that was 2013. I started that. I met my wife after my service. I write this book in 2022. And from reading the book, my wife, I myself have 2 Purple Hearts. My wife read the book and said, "Oh, I didn't know you've been in a gunfight before." So I just never spoke about this stuff. My parents, my family, I didn't know what to say. Like, you don't want to hear what I have to say, first of all.
Yeah.
Don't know what to say. So writing the book became extremely cathartic. I know not everyone can write a book or wants to or has whatever. I started writing the book as like I have 2 boys now, but at the time only 1 son. And it was just like, hey son, if I never talk about this, because I probably won't, your dad was almost cool once type of thing. And then it kind of developed into a book. And through that, I started recognizing, I wrote out soul, like what happens to a warrior's soul multiple times, and like what had happened to my soul. And so I started thinking, well, damn, maybe I have a soul. And then through, the book, I started finding my way back to God and church and Catholicism and, embracing truth, goodness, and whatnot. So I would say the book was the antecedent to what really helped me, which would have been the sacraments through the church. And it sounds so cheesy to say, but it's, that's how I could talk about it. Usually if I would have talked about these stories, I'd be shaking and hyperventilating. And so I just never talked about it, but just through especially me going to confession, and, it's known as the sacrament of healing, just healing my own soul and getting all that shit out and acknowledging, what I was willing to do, more than happy to do, and, complicit in, and things like that. And it was life-changing for me.
Awesome.
That's great. And wow. And I hope some people out there, and I know it's going to help a lot of people. And I hope you people out there that are listening, they take that in stride, and they I've heard this so many times recently. It's, allowed Jesus to come into my heart. And then, my life started changing. I started giving everything over to him and all that stuff. And it really helps. And maybe it's not for everybody, but I can't tell you how many people I've heard them speak, and it's helped them. So, and I'm a big believer in that stuff as well.
I would just throw out Pascal's wager. If you're on the fence with God or whatnot, it's like you have there's two ways it could shake down. You can believe or try to start a relationship with God, and if he's not real, then you've lost nothing. Or you can try and start a relationship with God, and if he is real, you've gained everything. So there's
no losing.
You can't lose.
Right. Yeah. And so your book is War Business, The Hired Guns of Helmand Province. And we touched on some of those stories that are in there. I know there was one that I wanted to get to, but we're running out of time. We still have your dedication to get to. But I assume that is probably in the book. We talked about it earlier. It was I think it was up at that base in your second deployment where got attacked and a bunch of Cobras and stuff got blown up.
Yep. How long can I talk about this?
Go for it. If we have some time, we got about 10 minutes. Yeah.
Okay.
You good, Matt?
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
Dive in. Tell me to get deeper, but wherever you want. So, second deployment, Bravo Company. We are on our way home. We are on Camp Bastion, Camp Leatherneck. So this is like a 10,000 personnel megalithic base. This is our, the next morning we're coming back to America. So the next morning we're coming back. That night, Taliban infiltrates Camp Bastion, which has the Marine Corps' airfield. They destroy 2 or 3, I think 3 American Harriers, so jets. They destroy some Cobras. They kill 2 Marines, a lieutenant colonel and a lance corporal, and then 7, like half a dozen or so Taliban infiltrate the base, and they're on the base, and intelligence reports say they're lying and dormant on the base. They're going to destroy some more stuff. So we're supposed to leave the next morning. The way things shake out is, although there's 10,000 people there, Bravo Company, you guys are going to extend and stay for another 90 days. So the Taliban had infiltrated the part of the base where the Tongan military was supposed to be manning these security checkpoints, these towers. And they were not. They were using Ivan targets. Those targets you shoot and they fall down and then they pop back up.
Yeah.
They were using those dummies as personnel inside. So Taliban come through the Tongan section that night. So, we're leaving the next morning. So we have our rifles and no ammo. We've downloaded everything. We've gone through customs and all that. They tell Bravo Company, start patrolling this base. And we had no ammo and we're out, back. Bravo Company's on patrol, looking for these Taliban. And then, ammo starts trickling in, whatever. We get extended. We have to stay another 90 days. So myself and, 9, 10 other Marines, we get pushed out to this patrol base. And this is a couple miles outside of the major base that was attacked. And there's 2 Taliban cells out there. One guy is a sniper, and the other guy is a very prolific IED builder. So the sniper, I write about him extensively because he really messed with my head while I was out there. I mean, I don't say this as a point of pride, but he probably should have shot me in the face about 12 times. Like rounds would impact the wall right next to my face. And, I never understood how devastating a sniper was until I was up against one we were up against one for months on end. So this is really weird because the DOD wanted this guy's name redacted. They let me put out the IED builder's name, but this sniper, they wanted his name protected. So this guy would operate on the British side of our area of operations. Our AO butted up against a British op box, and the sniper, the British never went this far into their AO. So he had complete impunity. He knew we could not cross this imaginary line. So he would hang out in these compounds, and man, it just messed me up because we could not go in there. We could shoot small arms, but we could not call for fire or call for air support because it was out of our jurisdiction, out of our AO. So we got creative with some British snipers. So we had some British snipers come with us. We did Operation Bullet Sponge and Operation Bullet Sponge 2. Me being the intel guy, I'm always talking to Afghans, trying to develop sources. So he would always be shooting at me. So I would talk Operation Bullet Sponge was to just put me out on the forward edge of the AO and let him shoot, and then let the British snipers engage and call for fire into their own box.
Jesus.
You use yourself as a dummy. You're
Yeah,
like, hey,
Operation Bullet Sponge.
Yeah, bullet sponge. Yes.
holy
Bullets.
shit. It's that's on the nose right there. Yeah.
Yeah,
legit.
yeah.
Wow.
So that was a few days of operations there. Yeah, that guy just really messed with my psyche for sure. Like every night, towards the okay, so there, you guys know what blue force trackers are
Yeah.
in the vehicles. So there may have been a few times where, you know, our blue force trackers broke and we found ourselves on the wrong side of the op box. But so we were getting closer and closer to this guy. I would carry a wolfhound, so it would intercept Taliban radio chatter. And
Okay.
as soon as I would have a little earpiece in like this, and as soon as I would hear chatter, I'd give it to the interpreter. So we would just talk back and forth, like, "We're going to kill you, motherfucker. We're coming." Like, and he would talk right back to us. And so anyways, like when I was in the battle space, or we're just out on patrol or whatever, I was fine. But as soon as we'd get back to the patrol base, like I was a basket case. Like I was, my hands would shake uncontrollably, and I'd, dry heave, and just it would wreck me in the quiet hours, in the alone time. And then just I was a sergeant, and everybody else was corporal and below. So I'm not gonna, tell my trepidations to junior Marines.
Right.
So, and then I'm the intel guy, and these guys are all hard warriors, so I'm not going to be like, "Hey, I'm feeling like a little bit of a pansy, guys." So anyway, so that guy messed my psyche up for sure. And then the IED builder, Koshal, since I can say his name, this guy was he was blowing Marines up every other day, every 2 days. So we're 12 guys. Hundreds of miles of battle space, and they were in rolling hills, so we couldn't find them at all. Also, the war was winding down. Syria and whatnot were winding up, so all of the predators and intelligence assets, ISR assets, were shifting over there. So we just had no way to find this guy. So yeah, that was the end of my second deployment, and that was out at Patrol Base Bullback, and then I might write something about this, but we left a shitstorm to some other Marines, and I couldn't have been happier to say, "Good luck. This guy's going to mess you guys up, and here you go." There's something weird about that. It's like, "Hey, it's your turn." There's something, maybe mountain out of a molehill, maybe, but I think there's something deeper to write about that, or think about that. But my buddy Jake, one of the corpsmen, was shot. He was just fine by the sniper. And so we're loading him onto the dust off, and so he gets shot in the chest, and it goes through and through. So he was good, but he pulls his bayonet off, as we're loading him on the dust off, and says, "Bring this back to me, covered in that guy's blood." So we're like, "Oh hell yeah!" Like, we're gonna get this guy, but we didn't. We never got that sniper, which feels like unfinished business. And then writing the book, and then finding out his name has to be redacted. I'm like, who the hell was this guy? Or who is he working for now?
Yeah. More specifically.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Do you think that some of that, because you said he was messing you up a lot, you get back quiet hours and you're just like, that's whenever it all, kind of comes in. But when you left, did you kind of were able to leave that there? You're like, "Oh, fuck, not my problem anymore." And then you leave, and then it kind of stayed there. Or did it kind of follow you and you had to work through that as well?
Yeah, I had to work through that. So I really felt like I was being hunted. And for a while, it took me a while to shake that off. And I live in Central California. There are a lot of gangs here, and it just even messed me up to a point to where, I'd see a 98 Honda Civic, with some giant rims and whatnot, and seeing a certain demographic of people in there, and it would freak me out. I know they weren't Taliban, but it would bring that back. Like, there's a point in time where I was hunted, and it took me a while to shake that, and I'm good now, but it took me a while to get rid of that.
100% understand where you're coming from. I mean, that's wild. that is pretty crazy. And not too many people can say that they've been hunted. They can go hunting, but
Well,
not that
I
they've
mean,
been hunted. You know what I mean? Like that's
yeah.
crazy.
Yeah.
That's nuts. And you were saying before that was one of the biggest back to the attack when they were able to infiltrate the base. That was one of the biggest biggest attacks that had happened to American assets in theater.
Yeah, absolutely. So in terms of dollars, because each, aircraft is worth tens of millions of dollars. So they destroyed 3 jets, so Harrier jets. They destroyed 3 of those. They destroyed a couple of Cobras, some vehicles, and then a bunch of, fuel bladders. So in terms of dollars, it was only 2 Marines were killed that night.
Wow.
So it, just in terms of dollars, yes, it was the most successful attack.
And I had never heard of it before. Matt, did you ever hear about that attack?
No.
So that was Camp Bastion 2012.
Wonder what else they're
Trying to
why they
think
were
where the hell I was in 2012 and why I didn't hear about that. But
I was fucking in law enforcement, man. I was still keeping tabs. They didn't. What I'm not saying is that you're lying or anything like that. I'm just saying they didn't broadcast that. Like, and why? Why didn't they broadcast?
So because we got extended, got pushed out to that patrol base, we ended up, I took LA Times out, Wall Street Journal out on patrol to, in it.
Mhm.
I had wondered, is the war really going to end? This most successful attack. Now Wall Street Journal, LA Times are coming out. Is the war going to continue, or is it actually going to end in 2013? But they wrote some articles, and I mean, they're rags now, but that's probably because they wrote articles about me. So.
No, they were rags long before you, Matthew.
Yeah, that's fucking LA crimes, man.
Long history of that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you want to hear more stories like that, you can go out and check War Business, the Hired Guns of Helmand Province, and you can get it here. I'm going to share this screen real quick.
You can do what I just did, and in the midst of this, went on Audible and downloaded the audiobook. So,
yep, you could buy it right here.
Checking that out.
Yeah, this is Amazon. So Matthew Brunnemann, War Business, the Hired Guns of Helmand Province. Like I said, $6, $7 on Kindle, 99 cents on audiobook, hardcovers, $29.99. I would suggest getting that hardcover and also getting the audiobook. That's just me. I like to display things. Gonna have to get a book signed by you, man. That's pretty awesome. I'll have to buy one and send it to you.
I've got a few copies here. We'll get some info after, and I'll get one out to you.
I think that's great. I mean, I'm going to do the same thing Matt did as soon as I can log in, and I'm going to go ahead and buy this audiobook and start listening to it because that sounds amazing, and I want to get into more of those stories. Shit, I should bring you back on again because we've only touched on some of your stories. Touched at 2 stories in your second deployment, 1 on your first. I mean, you've got a lot of stuff to talk about. I mean, this is just, I can't wait. I can't wait to read this. So again, go to Amazon if you want to get this. It's War Business, the Hired Guns of Helmand Province. So as we're starting to wind down and get to the end of this podcast, at the end of every podcast, we give our guests a chance to dedicate the episode to a fallen brother or sister. And we understand that you do have that dedication.
For sure. So I dedicating this one to, and basically everything to Doc Beecham, one of our corpsmen that was killed on my second deployment. The Taliban had set up a daisy chain. So they had 9 IEDs all chained together, and they were trying to kill the entire squad. Thankfully, only 1 went off. The rest low order detonated. So Doc Beecham was killed. For a while there. It was, the patrol made it back, and they were all just messed up, cognitively messed up. So they didn't even know that they had left somebody out in, the field out on patrol. So missing Marine actions type of thing had to go down. And so they went and they found Doc Beecham, and he was KIA from the IED, and he was KIA instantly. And then when we got back from that deployment, the squad leader, so we did a memorial service for Doc Beecham, and we flew his family out to Camp Pendleton. And the squad leader walked right up to Beecham's dad and said, "I'm the guy who got your son killed, and I want to apologize." And I just thought that was an extremely honorable thing for somebody to do, to say, "Hey, I was in charge and I am at fault. And for a grieving father, if there's any blame that you want to assign, blame it to me. If there's any unanswered questions, it's my fault." And yeah, I mean, I can't believe I wore the same type of uniform as both of those men. So, and I keep that sergeant, I keep his name out of the book for respect for him. So dedication is for Doc Beecham and the other Marine.
Well, rest of you brothers, we've got it from here. Wow, man, that sucks. We're going to keep doing these dedications till we don't ever have to do these dedications again. And I hope we get to a point where we never have to do a dedication. But the sad truth is that we're going to continue to do these dedications for the rest of the time that this podcast is on air, because paying that respect to those who pay the ultimate sacrifice is at least what we can do. Because that's, wow. Oh, they're good, but they get you sometimes. It sucks, dude. That's horrible. I want to say thank you, Matthew, for coming on. Thank you everybody today for tuning in. If you enjoyed today's episode, make sure to follow us on our Instagram at war_stories_official and our Facebook at War Stories Podcast. If you're already following us, please like and share our post. You can also help spread the word by going to our website or sharing our post. You can click the link in our bio on both platforms, and you can get all of our social media, our media links, including our YouTube. YouTube is where we drop all of our special stuff. We do our live there. So if you want to be notified of a live episode dropping, like, comment, subscribe, do all that, click the notification bell. That way, anytime we do go live, you will be notified. And if we're going live, just know that there has been a War Stories episode that has dropped. I don't know when we're making the switch, Matt, but I know our name will be changing. So you guys will be notified of that. And if it happens in the next 3 weeks, it does. If not, then we're going to still be going off War Stories and then Locker Room. But as you can see underneath my name, War Locker will probably be the new name, and it'll be War Locker and War Locker Live. So be on the lookout for that. Matt, I'm going to be giving you out a Whoopi hoodie, because I know you will appreciate it. I'm going to send it to you. So we will link up after
They're
this.
So cozy.
Yeah. Because all our listeners, we're getting rid of all the stuff that's in our website. If you want to order anything last in our website, please head over to our website at www.warstoriesofficial.com and grab some gear. Whatever merch we have there is the last merch that we will be selling there until we move over to the new platform. Once we move on to the new platform, we will have a lot more gear and things like that coming out, but we will not have these original OG shirts or Whoopi hoodies. Not to say that it won't happen in the future. It just will not be this one. So please head over there. Do you have a story to tell, or do you know someone who does? We're always looking for law enforcement, veterans, corrections officers, dispatchers, firefighters, medics, ER docs, and ER nurses to feature on the show. If you're interested, you LinkedIn, and that is going to be LinkedIn.com/War Stories Podcast. Again, that is LinkedIn.com/War Story Podcast. And you can fill out all the stuff there. You can email. You can also DM us on Instagram and Facebook if you want to come on, or go to booking.warstories@gmail.com and I can forward you over to Dylan. If you have someone who would be a great fit, let them know about us. And also check us out on TikTok, www.tiktok.com. At War Stories Locker Room. I'm assuming that name will probably change too eventually, but
probably. Yeah. This is like an infomercial at this point,
right? It's the same stuff over and over again. Well, I just want to say thank you for the support. Stay safe, guys.
All right, and thanks for tuning in, guys. Until our next episode, come home with your shield or on it.